Welcome to Hip Hop Now Podcast. If you're from the future, you know what to do. Get your ass out of here. Don't disrespect the legend. Hip hop is here to stay. Let's get right into the business.
What up, y'all? I am your host, Vegas, and this is Hip Hop Now Podcast, a podcast specifically designed to keep you caught up on all things hip hop, music, and culture that happened throughout the week. Big shout out to this long time, short time, just now people who subscribe to the podcast, whether that's in audio form on Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcast listening in audio form. But also to those who have subscribed via YouTube. Big shout out to you. The side quest for the podcast on YouTube is to reach 10,000 subscribers by the end of 2025. And guess what, y'all? We're knocking at the door of 9,000. Like, literally. Like, it's only a couple of hundred to get to 9,000. So keep enjoying the content, whether that's shorts, whether that's this weekly news podcast, whether that's specials like That Time in Hip Hop with Tony from Into the Dome podcast, whether that's tier lists, I got a couple of those in the bag, or interviews, which I'm trying to see what my next interview should be. And if you missed my interviews and you're like, whoa, wait a minute, you do interviews now? Relax. I'm doing some. Maybe 5 tops this year, but I've already done 2, one with the author of the De La Soul book that you should check out as a fan. Regardless of what De La Soul says, it's not what you think. Marcus J. Moore, and then most recently, I did an interview with I Am God, dope, extremely dope rapper out of Chicago that you should definitely check out. But watch the interview first. I'll leave, like one of the cards to pop up on the screen so oh, that's where I go to watch that. So there's that. But we got a lot to do today, so let's get right into the business of things. Shout out to hiphopdx.com, allhiphop.com, Ambrosia for Heads, and a couple of places where I'm getting my stories from. Let's get right into the business, though. So recently, the nominations for the 2025 BET Awards came out. I haven't had a chance to look at them, so if you're not familiar with who was nominated for what category, blah, 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 you're finding out when I'm finding out. And that's the fun part. So let's react to that. Shout out to hiphopdx.com. This is kind of where I'm getting some of these from. Let's look at the categories. And I'll try to stick to the hip-hop categories, obviously. But Album of the Year. Some Sexy Songs for You, Drake and Party Next Door. Wow, Album of the Year? I like a couple of tunes on there, but I don't know about that. But hey, whatever. Chris Brown, 1111 Deluxe. Doshi, Alligator Bites Never Heal. Beyonce, Cowboy Carter. Glorilla, Glorious. Kendrick Lamar, GNX. Hurry Up Tomorrow, The Weeknd. We Don't Trust You, Future, and Metro. My pick for winner in that category would be, and there's no bias, but just would be GNX. That album's on fire, okay? Like, Luther has been at the top of the charts forever. That album has some legs, definitely. And, obviously, it could be Beyonce. Who knows? But I think it may be GNX. We'll see. What other categories here? We're skipping past the R&B and pop and all of that. Here's one that's interesting. Best Group. 41, Common and Pete Rock, Drake and Party Next Door, Flow, Future and Metro Boomin, Jacquees and Dej Loaf, Larry June, 2 Chainz and Alchemist. Wow. Maverick City Music. Out of those, like, best group, I think Metro and Future may walk away with this. I'd be surprised if it's Drake and Party Next Door, but I think Future and Metro, because remember, they put out 2 albums last year. So the beef continues, but we'll talk about that later. Let's see, best collaboration. Let's get best female hip hop artist. Now this is crazy because there's a lot of nominations here, but Cardi B, Doechii, Doja Cat, Glorilla, Lotto, Megan Thee Stallion, Nicki Minaj, Rhapsody, and Sexy Red. I think this comes down to Doechii and probably Glorilla, to be honest. Um, and I wouldn't be mad at it. Well, I won't say I wouldn't be mad at it, right? But if I'm looking at what's here, I think Glorilla would get it because she had a lot of traction. I think Doechii has a lot of traction also as an artist right now. But Glorilla probably has a little bit more weight in the game, and I just don't know if the BET Awards are gonna do what the Grammys did. They may, but we'll see. Best male hip hop artist. Big X, The Plug, Bossman D-Lo, Burna Boy. Burna Boy's not hip hop. Let's just keep it funky. He's not hip hop. Drake, Future. Wait, damn, they got Drake up here. What hip hop? Well, we'll talk about it later. Future, Kendrick Lamar, Key Glock, Lil Wayne. Lil Wayne. I think my hard work let Lil Wayne down. Like, what did he drop? What did he drop? Singles that y'all didn't pay attention to? And Tyler the Creator, that's a good one. I think best male hip hop artist, it gotta go to Kendrick because of everything he did last year. But if they chose Tyler the Creator, I wouldn't be mad because he put out a very dope project. Video of the year, real quick. Key Glock, 3 a.m. in Tokyo. A bar song, Tipsy, Shabuzi. After Hours, Denial is a River, Doechii. After Hours is Kalani, by the way. Family Matters video, Drake. Wow, feels like BT doing some damage control. Not Like Us, Kendrick. Timeless, The Weeknd featuring Playboy Cardi. Tight-ish, Future, Metro Boomin, Travis Scott, and Playboy Cardi. I didn't know they had a video for that. Some of these videos I didn't see, so it's hard to say who should win. I think Doechii's video was very creative and dope. Not Like Us was a very dope video for that song. It just fit and it just brought things up another notch. Family Matters, it shouldn't even be here only because remember, and we're going to talk about this, but Family Matters dropped with a video, and literally like 20, 30 minutes later, Kendrick dropped Meet the Grams, and it smothered that song. Like it just did. It smothered it as far as the competition, what people felt about it. People didn't even have time to like absorb what Drake did with Family Matters before Kendrick had a rebuttal. So I can't see like even video wise, like I see what he was going for, but it could have been anything. Honestly, it could have been not a diss record, and it just would have been an okay video. Some of these other videos are like there's some work and some thought, like Doechii's video. Like there's some real conceptual things going on. Whereas some videos tend to just be stunting and stuff like that. So um, let's see, was that it for hip hop? BET movies, actors, actress, young star. Yeah, I think that was it. So these categories are mostly trash. The BET Awards, I don't watch. And it's not just the BET Awards. I don't watch no award shows. They're too much of a commitment nowadays for there to be one or two great performances, which isn't the worst thing in the world. But if you're talking about 3-hour broadcast just to see one performance and see people win awards, like having like Burna Boy in a category where he's clearly not hip hop, it's just not worth the investing the time, especially when you can do what I'm doing right now, right? Like, oh, let's see who's nominated. Boom. When it happens, you go and look to see who won, right? You don't have to watch the award show. And then if there was a dope performance or two, it will be online. It will be clipped for you to check it out. So you don't have to sit through 3 hours just to watch a great performance. That's just the world we live in. I stopped watching award shows way before you could get those kinds of things like that. Uh, I wonder if they're going to do the BET Cypher, because they don't do the BET Hip Hop Awards anymore. I don't think so. So I'm wondering if the Cypher will happen, but who knows who'll be in it? Who knows whether it'll be good or not? But there you have it. Those are the nominations for the 2025 BET Awards. Let me know in the comments. Do you watch? Do you care about the categories? Is it more interesting because the battle took place and you want to see if someone gets more trophies for dissing Drake? Leave your comments in the comment section below. Next up, Andre 3000 dropped another new album, but unfortunately for you, who had your hopes up, it's not what you think. It's not another Flute album. It's not an Outkast album. It's essentially a EP, 7 songs, 16 minutes in length, titled 7 Piano Sketches, right? 7 piano sketches. And if you don't know, and you could see the image in this video on YouTube, he was dressed that way at the Met Gala with a piano strapped to his back. I'm assuming it was hollow because, Lord have mercy, take that piano off that man's back before he hurt himself. Okay. But the project, which is also labeled alternative, similar to his Flute album, well, now he has a piano album. There's no bars, there's no singing, it's just piano. And the titles are just as crazy as they were when he released the Flute album. I'll go over a few for you, right? Bluffing in the Snow. That's the name of it, of one track. And then One Day You'll. Track 3 is called When You're an Ant and You Wake Up in an Awesome Mood, about to drive your son to school, only to discover that you left the lights on in the car last night, so your battery is drained. That is the name of track 3. And then there are other shorter names like Hotel Lobby Pianos, Blueberry Mansions, blah, 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 blah. Now, this is piano solo music, meaning there's no drums. There's no, somebody playing a harp also. This is just really Andre 3000 on the piano. Now, as someone who likes jazz and does like some alternative music, I'm not appalled by him dropping something like this. But what I don't like is this is worse than the Flute album. At least the Flute album felt more like experimental, atmospheric, and what was ambiance or whatever. It was, you either take it or you don't, right? Like if you want something peaceful playing while you do yoga, the Flute album might be able something you can rock with. There are people who are better at flute than him, obviously. But at least there was a case to be made for like the audience that would like it. I can't see anybody liking this joint because it sounds like he's trying to figure out the piano. Not that he knows how to play and he's playing these tunes and you're getting different types of solos and blah, 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 but more so like he's practicing and he's not at a master's level of practicing. Like, I'll give you an example before we talk about the lack of a hip hop album. There was a Prince album that came out in 2018, after he passed, called Piano and a Microphone 1983. And essentially, it's Prince kind of practicing tunes, and it's not solo pianos, but when you hear this versus what you're hearing from Three Stacks, you're like, this Prince thing is good enough to be one of the good albums in his catalog. And this is him practicing. Now, sure, it's unfair to compare the two, but I think the release of this Andre Three Stacks album, even as an alternative album or jazz, if you want to try to go there, I think it's, I don't know. I don't know if his intentions are this, but it feels like you're taking advantage of your popularity where you can do anything and people will like it. Now, I don't think that's his intention because, like with the Flute album, I listened to an interview he did with NPR, and he's really just about expressing himself and he just wants to share what he's doing. There's nothing wrong with that. There are plenty of people who shared stuff that's even way worse than that with the public, but this is the thing that I think he's a little naive to, a little bit. Sure, he's aware, but I feel like the way he's going about it is a little bit naive to it. Now, releasing this album, matching it up with being at the Met Gala, and I guess the piano, what you're playing on the piano is kind of inspired by the whole thing. It's a great marketing idea, but in execution, it's garbage. Okay. And what I was saying about like him kind of knowing what he's doing, they're leveraging his celebrity. And where does his celebrity come from? Hip hop. Andre 3000, one of the greatest rappers, a part of one of the greatest rap groups of all time, and Outkast. You're leveraging that celebrity because regardless if it's not an album for me or someone who wants Three Stacks on the hip hop side, we're going to pay attention to it because of who you are. That's just it. That's just it. There are people who put out alternative albums who don't have that base of people who are at least willing to look at it, press play, whatever, because of who you are, the name you created for yourself. So, am I mad at him releasing this? Not really. He can release another one playing the drums. I don't care. I feel like artists should be able and be allowed to express themselves in whatever way they choose to. It doesn't mean we have to like it, right? Doesn't mean you have to automatically like it because you like Outkast. Because this is nothing like Outkast at all. It's nothing like Outkast at all. But I hope he's kind of what's the term in wrestling? Uh it's a work, right? That's what's called a work. When we're gonna make you believe, in his case, that this is where he is. He's playing instruments, he's releasing alternative albums, and that's where he is in his career. And he doesn't feel the need to rap because he doesn't necessarily know what he would be saying of significance at his age, which I don't believe him. I believe that we will at least get one more project from Outkast. Not a solo Andre album. One more album at least from Outkast. Maybe it's a full-on album. Maybe it's a big boy album and Andre is featured on a number of songs, but not enough, I guess, to call it an Outkast album. But I feel like there's still hip hop that he may be like hiding from us and distracting us with pianos and flutes and stuff, which is crazy. It sounds like, like you're playing Zelda or some crazy, RPG or whatever on PlayStation. So, or Nintendo. I know Zelda's Nintendo. So I don't know. If you are a Andre 3000 fan and you liked the Flute album because it was trying something different, check out this piano joint. Um, I gotta tell you, for me, I couldn't even get through it, fam. I can't. I was just like, this is just not good piano playing. Period. Like, what is this? Why is this? Why is this something for somebody to buy or stream? Like, well, maybe streaming is fine, but this should not be for purchase at all because it's not good. All right. And lastly, recently we hit the 1 year mark for Drake versus Kendrick, Kendrick versus Drake, whatever way you want to go with it. And Obviously everybody's gone over the different songs. You know, hey, it's the first anniversary of Push Ups, it's the first anniversary of Euphoria, it's the first anniversary, like all the songs, right? Um, except for Taylor Made, right? Because we know that AI garbage got pulled. And you know, it was like it was stupid. Taylor Made was just not the greatest idea, especially for someone who was against people using AI in his voice. You know, go ahead, you know, talking about Drake, him going ahead and using Tupac's voice and Snoop's voice and without permission. It was just a misstep. But nevertheless, a lot of people talked about this battle a year later. Some people even said stuff, who really won? Like, do you really have to ask that question? Like, this kind of thing I don't like. Like, don't put it in the air that it was up for question because we know who won because they're still winning. And one of those guys, the loser, has a lawsuit because of the battle, right? And he contradicts himself within the lawsuit. So just reflecting on that whole time in hip hop, I thought it was amazing because it was a hip hop battle on a whole nother level as far as where it went, right? Only talking about more recent battles and Drake battles, and we got to tip our hat to Drake. He doesn't. He never had to battle any of these guys. Pusha T, Meek Mill, Kendrick. He never like I'm more popular than y'all. I'm getting more money. I'm just going to do that and ignore you. Trust me, the ignoring part is way more effective than engaging because, like Drake found out, you risk not only losing but having it impact your success, which it has. Don't believe for 1 second that Drake is the same post battle, right? He's not completely off the planet Earth. Obviously, he dropped an album and the Nokia single is doing well. And there's certain songs that people like. There's certain songs I like off of there. But every time he opens his mouth in one of these records, you can't help but to think about this battle. Now, the battle, for those who don't know or don't have a lot of knowledge about how it went down and how'd you come to the conclusion that Drake lost the battle. We did a whole video of that, recapping it. That'll be at the end of the video. That just recaps what happened. And this we did recorded that video after Not Like Us dropped. I know you know that, right? Okay. Uh but a year later, is it the greatest hip hop battle of all time? I think it might be. And when I say that, I'm not saying Drake and Kendrick are better rappers than KRS-One or Nas and Jay-Z or Ice Cube in his moment. And obviously, what I'm saying is you have to look at those battles in the context of that time, right? Sometimes it was just a quick back and forth. You picked the winner, that was it, right? And typically a song decided when the battle was over. So, for example, KRS-One and MC Shan, there was South Bronx, there was Kill That Noise by Shan, there was South Bronx by BDP, Kill That Noise by Shan, and then there was The Bridge Is Over. And when The Bridge Is Over dropped, that was the end of the battle, right? Ice Cube and NWA. There were a couple of songs and skits and Benedict Arnold and all of that. And then Ice Cube dropped No Vaseline off the Death Certificate album. The battle was over after that. NWA never made another album. Okay. There's context. Jay-Z and Nas, right? A lot of back and forth, right? First, it was kind of like freestyles. Jay-Z on the Summer Jam stage. Ask Nas, he don't want it with Hove, right? That was the bait. Then Nas does the Stillmatic freestyle, right? And then Jay-Z says, "Oh, he responded. Okay, now on the Blueprint album, let me drop the full version of my song dissing not only Mobb Deep, um, but also Nas, and not saying names, but kind of hinting at the locks and all of that in the last verse. And it felt like it was over for Nas, to be honest, when we heard the takeover. But then Ether dropped, and Ether felt like the end, and it really became the end when Jay-Z tried to respond too quickly and emotionally, and people said that song's whack, Nas is better, battle over, right? Jay-Z didn't fall off as a result. You can even go to 50 Cent and Ja Rule, right? Regardless of what you want to say, Ja Rule was hot. He was on the radio. He was hot. You may not like, some people may not have liked those records, but you can't deny the level of success he was at before 50 Cent started dissing him. And then 50 Cent blew up. And all of a sudden, Ja Rule was like, everybody just looked at Ja Rule like he's always been whack. And that kind of ended that battle also. When you're hearing Back Down and skits and mixtape joints, like, it 50 just piled on and on and on. Same thing with Drake when he dissed Meek Mill, right? Meek Mill said some things. Drake dropped one song. We don't even remember what that first diss record was, but it was because we were waiting for Meek Mill uh, response to drop. Drake dropped another track called Back to Back, and that kind of ended it. And Meek responded, and their response was dope, but it was way too late, right? So there are moments where you know the battle is over, you know who won, and it's universal at that point in time. Sure, there's some Drake fans that were kind of like, nah, he got one more. But even in his one more, he conceded because when Not Like Us dropped, it felt like, oh, the battle's over. He not only did Kendrick drop a song that was in the new style, like Euphoria, right? Beat switch, the sound of the tracks, the flows he had. But then he turns around and drops 616 in LA, which is just straight, bar work boom bap, right? Then Drake drops Family Matters as I Got Him, y'all. 8 ball corner pocket. 30 minutes later, Kendrick is dropping Meet the Grams, which again, sinister beat, breaking him down, Alchemist on the beat, and it felt over. It felt over with that. Like, yo, I think it's over. Unless Drake got another one, this battle's over. This dude rapping about his family. And then before we can catch our breaths again, the next day, he drops Not Like Us. And it was like, oh, it's over. So when Drake finally dropped, which was the response to Not Like Us, the Heart Part 6, especially with the way he was talking at the end, as if he was just waving a white flag and he didn't really want to do this, and he knew, like, he sound defeated. But it didn't matter. He didn't have to drop that last record because it was already over. Now, why do we say it was only over? Not just because of what I mentioned about there being moments when you know the battle is over based off the song, but also this battle, which is why I say it probably will go down as the greatest battle in hip hop history, is because it was so much more than the songs. It was the timing of the songs. It was the rumors. It was the receipts you could find on the internet about Drake. It was the rebuttals, right? It probably was the receipts more than the rebuttals, because then it started to reveal a lot, right? Um, then it's Super Bowl performance, right? From Kendrick, just announcing that he's doing the Super Bowl, and then is he going to perform Not Like Us? And he did. I feel like he didn't look at the camera until he said, "Say Drake, I hear you like I'm young," which is crazy at the Super Bowl. I hear you like I'm young at the Super Bowl. Crazy. But before that, he wins all these Grammys for the record. And before that, he dropped a brand new album in GNX that now has a tour. So it's just like it wasn't just the fact that he dropped these diss records that were, show different looks and really broke Drake down to the smallest compound bars. It was also all these residual effects of it, and not all coming from Kendrick. Some of it was Drake trying to pretend what happened didn't happen, right? Like now, granted, I don't give him no slack for trying to drop music, but he wouldn't stop talking about the battle. And I felt like it was way too soon for you to pretend like, oh, round two coming up. But then Kendrick's rebuttal is a Super Bowl commercial saying no round twos. See me at the Super Bowl. So you look like I'm ready to fight now. I woke up from getting knocked out. Now what? It just made him look worse. Taking that picture with his lips all tooted out crazy with the rest of the OV hoes in the background doing the video in the mall where the kids hang. I hear you like I'm young, like just wrong moves. Then he dropped, 100 gigs for your head top, which was to me was a good move, but it didn't do much for him, right? But I think what really sealed it more than any of the things that Kendrick has done and received as a result of winning this battle is Drake trying to sue his record company for promoting the song, for boosting the song, for defamation within the song. And just so you know, we don't do that in hip hop. Like, Drake ain't the only one who's been dissed and something was said about them that might not be true. That is part of battling. And more importantly, that's what he was doing first. He was accusing Kendrick of being a woman beater. He was saying that his son is not his son and it belongs to his best friend. So he's talking about his wife, he's talking about his friends, he's talking about his kids. That is defamation also. But Kendrick doesn't have a lawsuit about it. And in hip hop, like I said, uh, you can't have no lawsuit over no diss records. That's the most unhip hop thing you can do from a guy who was quoted, Drake quoted on I think LeBron James podcast, the joint in the barbershop. I don't know what it's called. I don't watch it. Okay. Uh when he said, I study battle rap for a living. He said that. How you study and then you have a lawsuit? You're lying, okay? So you got all these names that he's been given, which fit because it's what he's doing. Like Lawbury, right? For those who don't know, his name is Aubrey, but the internet is calling him Lawbury. Or probably the one that really fits the most, Hip Hop Karen. Yep. So I said all that to say, greatest hip hop battle of all time. Give me another year or two where we forget about all of this and there's no tour and it like it's not alive in the social space anymore. And it's definitely close. It's probably at the top, and a lot of that has to do with the technology today, how fast we were able to get access. Just know this: you didn't hear all the songs for rap battles so quick once upon a time. You just didn't. Somebody told you about it, and they maybe heard it on the radio, so you had to wait to see if it was going to be played again. Or if if you in the early internet days with like Jay-Z and Nas, you go to one of them sites where you're able to find it. But this was like live and direct to the public via music streaming apps and YouTube, and commentary from you could see what Drake was thinking in real time because he kept posting about stuff. You could follow your favorite hip hop media people and just watch their videos like mine. Um, it was just different, so it felt bigger. And when it hits the Grammy stage and the Super Bowl stage, if it's not the greatest battle, it is the biggest battle of all time when it comes to hip hop. So leave your comments in the comment section below. What do you think about the Kendrick versus Drake battle 1 year later? Do you feel like maybe Kendrick didn't win, or you feel like Drake is washed now and he might as well not drop any new music? Whatever the case may be, leave your comments in the comment section below. Subscribe to the podcast in audio form on Apple Podcasts. You can review it also there. Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts listening from. Also, road to 10,000 subscribers right here on YouTube. So if you enjoyed this episode a lot, subscribe. Also, hit the like button. If you have thoughts, comment in the comment section. I read the comments. I reply sometimes, depending on what's being said. But most importantly, share with people you know enjoy this kind of content. Follow me on social media at Vegas World INC. And please, never forget, I am not a critic. I'm a fan. Peace.